he was the bad man. Yes, he literally carried a bag of hundreds of thousands of dollars of drug money in Chicago in the time of Joe Biden is a criminal hellhole.
My people, a lot is really going on in the political zone. A lot is going on in the political zone. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is in hot fire at the moment. Tinubu is in hustle because the American army are already coming for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They finally issue a date that Tinubu should appear in the U.S. court based on the drug charge that was charged against him in Chicago. Before Tinubu was elected as the president of Nigeria, Peter Obi and some other lawyers, they issued a letter to Joe Biden, the president of the United States, for him to attest to the fact that Tinubu have a drug issue and a drug case in the United States of America. But Biden declined the letter and all of that. But Biden is already in a tight corner now because the US media are finally bringing to the limelight what Tinubu did, what Nigerians they don't know that Tinubu did right from time in the United States of America. So the secret of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is finally exposed to the general public because the US media released a video, and that video is what I want to show you in this very video. That's a secret video that will lead to the arrest of Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the given date that they gave in the video. The drug footage video evidence of Tinubu drug deal have finally been released by US media. The video footage of Tinubu is finally released, and that is what I want to show you in this very video. So Tinubu is going to be arrested any moment from now if he did not appear on the given date in the United States court. So I would like guys to stay connected to the end of this video. If you can share this video and share it, let it go viral, and if you can share it, like it, give it a thumb up so that YouTube will recommend it for us. But then stay connected. I'm coming back again.
Welcome you back to LAJUPOG TV.
I don't have bad news for you today.
The home of religious gossip.
But you should leave the fight for Muhammad.
What is happening in the Christendom? Join now to make sense with LAJUPOG.
Hello my great and wonderful viewers, welcome back to LAJUPOG TV. For those of you coming across the channel for the very first time, ensure you click the red subscription button on your video screen and do well to click the notification bell icon so that whenever we drop a new video in first time, YouTube will easily let it know. A big thanks to all our returning subscribers for giving us the follow up on our updates on this channel. I'll be giving you back-to-back updates when they conducted the election on the 25th of February, and that thing is still what I'm still doing on this channel, still giving you back-to-back updates regarding what is happening between Tinubu, Peter Obi, and how Obi wants to reclaim his mandate. The more a lot of things keep happening in the political zone, the more I'm bringing you the video evidence of how everything is going in the political zone. It's not more than enough that Tinubu is an illegitimate president of Nigeria. He's not seated fully on the presidential seat. He's seated with Habuto because he's still challenging the process that brought Tinubu in as the president of Nigeria in the tribunal. Peter Obi is still in the tribunal trying to reclaim his mandate, challenging the process that brought Tinubu in. Likewise, Atiku Abubakar trying to reclaim the mandate that I think that he have. But that is not where we're going to. Tinubu is in serious trouble at the moment. The United States media have finally released the video evidence of Tinubu drug in the early hour of today. If you can share this video, ensure you share this video, let it go viral, let it go into different social media platforms, and if you can share it, like it, give it a thumb up so that YouTube will recommend it for us. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is in serious trouble in the hand of the United States. Before they conducted the election on the 25th of February, Peter Obi and some lawyers wrote letter to Biden to attest to the fact that Tinubu have some drug issues in Chicago, because if Biden can attest to the fact that Tinubu have issues with drugs in Chicago, that there's a petition filed against him in Chicago back then, if Biden can attest to that fact, Tinubu will not be allowed to contest to be one of the presidential candidates, and he will not even have the chance of becoming the president of Nigeria. But Biden delayed the process, and later they rejected the process. But now Biden, the president of the United States of America, is in serious trouble at the moment. They said if Biden did not prosecute Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it's possible that he himself may be charged to court and all of that. In the early hour of today, the United States media have finally brought to the limelight the video evidence of where Bola Ahmed Tinubu have drug issues in Chicago. They finally brought out the video footage and all of that, attesting to the fact that the drug issue that Tinubu have in Chicago is very real and is feasible. Why did they bring out this? They brought out this because Tinubu is trying to wage war against Niger. It's no more a news that coups took over Niger, and by so doing, Tinubu, as the Ecowas chairman, intended to wage war against the Niger coups. After the coups took over Niger, even the people of Niger protested that they don't want the intervention of Bola Ahmed Tinubu in their country. because Tinubu is believed that he wants to restore democracy back to Niger, because Niger was practicing democratic government unlike Nigeria. But because of the fact that the democratic government is extorting the civilians and they are stealing from the country, from the president to all the political cabinets, they were stealing from the country, and the people of Niger are in total poverty, absolute poverty. They can't even afford to eat a square meal and all of that. And with their mineral resources, uranium and all of that, their government will sell it and they won't have a single benefit from it. And these people are dying of hunger every day. So they protested and they removed their president, and the coups, the military coups, took over. But now Tinubu is saying that he wants to go and fight the coups, but the people said no. Now Tinubu is proven to be the best president, is proven to be the good man and all of that. He's trying to talk about the fact that democracy is the best government, and the US media heard this, and the moment they heard it, that Tinubu is talking about democracy, that he is practicing a good democracy and all of that, they move closer to the account of Tinubu how he become the president of Nigeria, and they notice that Tinubu rigged his way into the presidential seat and all of that, though he still having issue with in the tribunal. So the US media dig into more facts about what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is intending to do in Nigeria and how he got to the presidential seat. So it was later they discovered the video footage of where Tinubu had the drug deal in Chicago, millions of dollars on drugs and all of that. So they finally drive out the drug deal video, and that is what I want to show you in this video. But then if you can share this video, ensure you share it, let it go viral. Share it to different social media platforms, and if you can share it, like it, give it a thumb up so that YouTube will recommend it for us. We'll then stay connected. I'm coming back again.
They will have no credibility, even if they win the elections in November or whenever they are held. No one will give these elections any credibility. An election without Imran Khan is Hamlet without the prince. But these people care not for the collapsing credibility of their so-called democratic credentials. And this is, of course, true throughout the Western world and in the countries that still follow the Western model. They get all high and mighty, you see, about the question of democracy, which is where I came in on the Nigeria Ecowas issue. Now, I'm not an expert on Nigeria. I was vaguely aware that Tinubu had been elected as the president of Nigeria, and that there was a dispute about it that was going to the courts. I shrugged that off, thinking, well, that is par for that particular course. But when I heard him preaching about the sacredness of democracy and free and fair elections in relation to his neighbor Niger, when I heard him as a saint like Saint Francis of Assisi talking about the absolute unacceptability of people coming to power in an African country other than, by implication, like him, through a pristine election system, I began to look more closely at him. That's when I discovered he was the bagman. Yes, he literally carried a bag of hundreds of thousands of dollars of drug money in Chicago. He should have gone to prison, but instead he just gave the feds the money. Now, okay, that's a common or garden story in Chicago, which in the time of Al Capone and in the time of Joe Biden is a criminal hellhole presided over by Joe Biden's party for the best part of 100 years. It kind of happens. But when I began to think, how does a man who's a bagman for organized crime in Chicago end up in the president's house in Abuja? How does that happen? Well, I then discovered that it didn't happen at all. That not only was he a bagman for the mafia, he also stole the election in Nigeria. Now, even then, it was not my intention to get locked into a confrontation with him. I have many fish to fry. I have many conflicts, countries, issues to cover. And then I discovered that not one but two of the main newspapers in Nigeria carried an op-ed in the name of a Mr. Ono, and by golly will he be saying Ono by the time I'm finished with him, which was the most fantastically defamatory, baseless, twisted piece of journalism about me I have ever read, and believe me, I've read plenty. Not only was it littered with absolute falsehoods, it contained a spectacular invention which will cost Mr. Ono very dearly in the courts in Nigeria, if those courts are still operating, as I believe they are. I believe that there continues to be a judicial system in Nigeria, and therefore I have sought and will instruct this week solicitors in Nigeria against Mr. Ono's defamations and against the newspapers Vanguard and Guardian in Nigeria. Who is Mr. Ono, I hear you ask? Well, he was only the presidential spokesman to the bagman, President Tinubu. Are you with me here? I hope you'll follow me all the way through the legal process that I am about to embark upon. But much more important than trying to steal my name and reputation, this gang around Tinubu have stolen the great African colossus of Nigeria, the most important country on the continent, the most wealthy and developed country on the continent, the most strategically significant country on the continent. And then I began to look at all the other things that Tinubu could have had on his plate to deal with, rather than threatening to invade his little neighbor, Niger. His little neighbor, Niger, had only overthrown a corrupt puppet president who presided over this dichotomy, which is the dichotomy that afflicts most of the continent of Africa. 1 in 3 light bulbs burning in Paris this evening is powered by the uranium dug from the earth in Niger, but 80% of the people in Niger have no electricity. Keep that dichotomy in your mind, because it is that is fueling the anti-Western, anti-colonial, anti-imperialist struggle that is suddenly sprouting everywhere in Africa and in Latin America, and one day also in Asia. They're not going to put up with it anymore. Countries that literally looted them even of their own people as slaves, took over their countries and ran their own national flags up over them, and then when forced by circumstance or struggle to formally give up their colonies, they insisted on continuing colonization, domination, exploitation of their former colonies, and the people are not prepared to put up with it anymore. And that's all that's happened in Niger. You don't have to like the general that's taken over. You don't have to know anything about Niger, as most of you do not. All you need to know is that the wretched of the earth, as Frantz Fanon called them, are rising up and are taking back that which is theirs. and which has been taken from them, withheld from them for so many decades by Europeans and now by extension by North Americans. They're not going to put up with it anymore, and it will be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Some guys you'll like, some guys you won't, but you have to know that the days when France and Britain and the United States could dictate what happens in Africa and elsewhere in the world are well and truly over. I've said to you before, why is it a surprise that most people in the world, the overwhelming majority of people in the world, do not hate those that we in Britain and the United States and Canada and France are told to hate? When will people grasp that it's our leaders, our rulers that people hate? As Nelson Mandela said when he was released after 27 years in the dungeons of apartheid, and apartheid supported until the last possible minute by France, Britain, and the United States. Don't forget ever that I was there in Parliament when Mrs. Thatcher's lips moved and she described Mandela as nothing but a common terrorist. I saw her say it. I heard the words tumble from her lips. As Nelson Mandela said when he was finally released, your enemies are not our enemies. Many of your enemies are our friends who stood by us when we needed them, who gave us diplomatic support and recognition, who gave us even the weapons of liberation war. Don't ask us to hate people like Russia, like Libya under Gaddafi. These are the people that made our freedom possible, while you were on the other side of the equation. Let me turn quickly and for a couple of minutes only to Pakistan. I've been through this picture before. I struggled against the execution of the late Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. I struggled to have released from prison and then received at Heathrow Airport Mr. Bhutto's daughter, the late Benazir, stick thin, still bleeding from her ears from the brute treatment she suffered in prison after the assassination, judicial assassination of her father. I watched as she was murdered in real time on television. My dear friend, I watched her being murdered on television. I've seen generals come and go, spending out, eking out the rest of their lives in luxury. In Mayfair, it's always Mayfair. I saw Nawaz Sharif, Shahbaz Sharif. I used to meet Shahbaz Sharif in the coffee shops of Edgware Road, where he lived in exile rather well. And now he's the Prime Minister of Pakistan. But Nawaz Sharif remains in Britain. He remains in the Park Lane environs.
Thank you for staying connected, my great and wonderful viewers. You can hear what that US media man said in course of the whole video. You know, the man opened up a lot of secrets of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the drug case that he have in Chicago, and all of that. How Tinubu ran away from US and everything was said in course of this video. You know, it's no more a news now that Tinubu is trying to pull Mr. Neat and Mr. Integrity now. You know, Tinubu is trying to be the man of integrity at this moment, even when he knows that the process that brought him in as the president of Nigeria is not clean and pure. You know, Tinubu is now preaching love about democracy and all of that, even when himself is not practicing the real democracy that other countries are practicing, like US and other big countries that Nigeria are following their footsteps and all of that. You know, Tinubu and Ecowas intervened in the Niger issue, and Tinubu have been trying to claim the fact that he wants to restore democracy back to Niger, even when Nigeria is not benefiting anything from this whole process. You know, Tinubu announced that with Ecowas they put forces together, and they said the military coup that took over Niger is a terrorist act. They said for coups to take over a country, that it is an act of terrorism without going through the normal process and normal procedure. So Tinubu and Ecowas wanted to wage war against Niger, but Tinubu wrote a letter to the Nigeria House of Assembly before they embarked on their 2-month strike, and the Senate see to it, and they declined the fact that Tinubu should wage war against Niger. They said Tinubu should not wage war against Niger. There's a way to peace and all of that. And a lot of big organizations and a lot of big companies, they write letters to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. A lot of big personalities within Nigeria and outside Nigeria, they said Tinubu should not wage war against Niger because nobody can predict the outcome of war. We can only predict the beginning of war. You know, the war against Russia and Ukraine, even Putin himself that waged the war against Ukraine, he thought the war will only linger for like 2 weeks, but the war is still ongoing till today. It's over a year now, so nobody can expect the outcome of a war. So for Nigeria to wage war against a small country like Niger is just like a bullying, because Niger is not having more than 30-something million population, but Nigeria is having more than 220 million population. Nigeria is more than times 7 of Niger, and Nigeria and ECOWAS are pulling forces together to wage war against Niger. Now, when coups took over Burkina Faso, took over Mali, and took over Guinea, those 3 African countries, ECOWAS did not wage war against the coups. They did not do anything regarding that. But when it comes to Niger issue now, they are aggressive and they want to wage war against Niger. Why? Because of their benefit from Niger, because they know that when coups take over Niger, the benefits that they're having from Niger will be restricted. They will not have the normal benefit. They won't benefit what they really benefit from Niger. So the benefit will stop, and the benefit is what they want to put back in place. That's why they want to restore the democracy of Niger back to how it was, even when the people of Niger are like slaves in their country. The people of Niger cannot even afford to eat 3 square meals. The people of Niger are in total poverty. The poverty rate of Niger is far more than the poverty rate of Nigeria, even when Nigerians are still even complaining. So Tinubu is not saying to this fact. He's not thinking about the people. He's just focusing on the fact that they want to go and restore democracy in Niger and bring out their president that was put in custody and some other politicians and all of that. Fine. Nobody is saying that Tinubu should not go and bring out the president of Niger that the coups put in custody and some other big politicians from where they put them. You know, it's normally known that the coups arrested them and all of that. But there's a way to peace. Tinubu can dialogue with the coups to release the president and continue with the affair of the country. But war is not an option. If war should be an option at all, war should be a last option in restituting what happened in a particular country. You know, even Macron, the president of France, said that he did not say that coups should not take over Niger, but they should not hinder him of his benefit in Niger. So France is really benefiting from the uranium of Niger and all of that. And yet, this country that is called Niger, that is giving France this uranium, sending this uranium to France, they are in total poverty and they do not even have light. And France is using their uranium to power their country. And the economy of France is going up more than how it was. And the economy of Niger is going down drastically. Africa is in total poverty. Africa as a whole, most especially the West African countries, they are in total poverty due to the leaders that we have in Africa. So what is your take, guys? I'd like guys to drop your opinion in the comment section of this video. They are coming for Tinubu. It's not more news. You hear what that man said. The drug deal of Tinubu is still intact in Chicago, and the United States of America is coming for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So drop your opinion in the comment section of this video as I I'm going out there to contact and another for you. Make sure you follow me on my social media handles on Facebook at LAJUPOG TV and LAJUPOG Entertainment, and on Instagram at LAJUPOG. And you can also follow us on X, popularly known as Twitter, at LAJUPOG. Guess what, guys? See you in my next video. Bye.
I see the hot for my body, I say make I yarn you. Religious cause plenty day for body. Pastor with the line on top, be pastor. For LAJUPOG watch TV. Pastor with the bar, where? Politician with the do pass himself. Leader, why you with the church? All as LAJUPOG watch TV.